Hello everyone, welcome to this seventh video on Python. In this video, we will see how we can create pivots like Excel in Python. So we have already discussed this group by function earlier. Now we'll cover pivot table in this particular video. So let's start. So load the library pandas and then we load this data set which we have already used in this video series. Then first few things that we do, look at the shape of the data set, any new data set. If we are using, we should look at the names of the columns present, and then we should also check the data type, etc. And finally, we should also take a look at the first few rows of the data set. So this is a bit of a standard practice that we follow uh, when we load our data set to our Python environment. Now, this is again I'm just changing the data type of person ID to string. Now, the main part is here. So, here you can see that these are the columns available in this data set: person ID, gender, age, occupation, sleep duration. These columns are present. So, the first thing that we'll try to do is to use group by to aggregate. So let's do that first. So here we are using group by to aggregate on occupation and BMI category on these two columns, and we'll aggregate this sleep duration column, and we will get the mean of the sleep duration column. So after running this, we'll get a data frame like this where we have occupation, BMI category, and the mean of sleep duration. So this can be again achieved in Excel when you create a pivot with your data set. You will put occupation and BMI category on rows, sleep duration as value, and then you will change the value field value calculation to mean. Now, what if you want to create a pivot where occupation is on rows, BMI categories is on columns, and then these are the values present. So for that, you can use a pivot function. So as we have already summarized the data, we just need to do a pivot on this particular data frame that we have created. So to create a pivot, you will use this pivot function where you will just mention that occupation column needs to be the index of the data frame that you want to, that transform data frame that you want to create. And this BMI category will be in column. So all these values, whatever different values are there, they will come into different columns. And these values will be sleep duration mean. So mean would be the cell values in that particular pivoted data frame. So you see, now with this pivot function, we have occupation as index, and these columns are present at the top, and we have the different values which is present here. Now, for those combination where there is no data, for example, manager with normal BMI category, there is no data. Salesperson, normal BMI category, there is no data. So those columns are here. Those cells are here null. You can do fill null to actually add some other values here. For example, you can replace these nulls with 0. Now, what if you don't want to use group by and then pivot? Then for that, you can directly use pivot table. So the data frame that we have loaded sleep, I'll directly pivot that data frame in this format using this pivot table function. And I'll mention index to be occupation, columns to be BMI category, values as sleep duration column. So here, because here it was already calculated, so I'm mentioning sleep duration mean, but here it's not calculated already. We are using the raw data frame, so we'll mention that this column needs to be added to values, and we would also mention what kind of aggregation is required. So here I'm saying that I need an aggregation of mean. So in this format also again we'll get the results. So if I run this, and this last thing which is round 2 is actually just rounding these numbers to two decimals only. So if I run this, you'll see that it's the same kind of table with similar kind of values. And if I use this fill NA as well, so all these null values that you see here, they will change to 0. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to actually present the missing cases here, missing combinations here. Okay, so let's keep it null for now. Now here, if you see, we have just aggregated on one column, but what if you want to see the count as well along with these means? So what if you want to see two values here? So here we can see that there is accounted normal, the mean sleep duration is 7.16 hours. But how many records are there for this combination? That we can't see in this table. So if you want to do that, we can also pivot with multiple values. To do that, we'll use this pivot table function again, where index is occupation, columns is BMI category, and values are coming from sleep duration. This column I have mentioned here, but I want to apply two aggregate functions, mean as well as count. Okay, and then rounding the data, the values to two digits, and then reset index with that. Let's see how does the values look like, the resultant data frame look like. So here now we are getting all these mean values first, and after that we have all the counts. Okay, so we have these four mean values and then we have four counts. So it means that for this combination, if you see mean of sleep duration, and this is for, so mean of sleep duration, this is for normal, as you can see from the top here, it's normal, and the count is 5. But it is not very clear. And if you look at the columns here, the name of the columns here, it is very complex. So you have multi-index column which is being created here. Just to simplify this, if we keep this values column in this format, if we just keep the name of the values column here, this is how the resultant data frame would look like. So now it becomes a bit simpler. So here you have mean sleep duration, and then the third part would be those BMI category. So it would be normal here, then normal weight here. But now with this simplification, just removing those square brackets when you are adding the column name here in the values argument, it becomes quite simpler, and now we can easily identify that yeah, this is mean of normal BMI category, and the count of normal BMI category is like this: 26, 65, 56, 42. So both these numbers are present here. Okay, so we can make more reasonable comments, not just by looking at the mean, because if it is coming from a few number of records only, then it may not be that useful stat. But it is coming from a good number of record, then it is a useful stat. Okay, so for example here, 8.2 and 1, only one record is there, only two record is there. So we can't actually compare because these sample sizes are very small. Now, so this again may not look exactly in the format as you would expect it to be coming in Excel or Google Sheet. And if you look at the name of the columns here, this is how it is coming. It's still multi-index, but it is much more simpler than we have seen earlier. To bring it to something similar to Excel, you will have to add a few more lines of code here. And after doing that, you can actually change the name of the column to look much better. So it's now, instead of it being a multi-index kind of thing where you have mean normal, you can change it to mean of normal weight, something like that. And for that you will need these two additional lines of code here. So you just have to change the columns using this line of code which uses list comprehension on the this particular pivoted data frame column names. And then after that, once you change the column using this particular line of code, then you reset index and then you get a table in this format, which looks quite similar to what we see in Excel and quite readable. Okay, so if I would quickly like to show you the similar kind of data frame in Google Sheet as well. So we have this sample. So I've just created a pivot using this data set here. And here you can see I have added occupation and BMI category, occupation on rows, BMI categories on column, and then we have this sleep duration mean here. And we can all change the format here as well if we reduce the number of decimal to maybe two, like that. And if I want to add count as well, I'll add maybe person ID here. Sorry, and okay, let me have the sleep duration which I had already. Sleep duration average. Okay, and then I can add one more person ID here, and I don't want to do sum. I will do count, and so I'll have the numbers. Again, I'll have to change the format because some of these columns format were not changed earlier. So let's decrease it to maybe zero decimals so that, so you see, so here also in Google Sheets also it's the names of the columns are like this: average of sleep, count of person ID, and in that Excel, in that Python output also it's something like this. So, and this is one of the most useful thing that you can do in Python if you are coming from an Excel or a Google Sheet background, because you must have been you doing most of your analysis using pivot tables. So you can understand that those can be easily done in Python as well. And then with some more variations or filters on the data frame, some more transformations on your existing data frame, you can achieve some complex results as well. I hope you like this video. Do subscribe my channel and like the video if you find it useful. See you in the next video. Thank you.